Hello there, my name's Claire and this is Stitch So thank you so much for joining me today for another video. Now today's video is a roundup of everything I got made up in June 23 and also my plans for July 23. So if that interests you, please stick around with me today. So I made a good few things in June 23. I'm not necessarily going to talk to you them in the exact order, and there will be a couple of things that I will just be putting photos in because they might be in the wash or one of my children's wearing them, or I've gifted. I can't quite remember until I look at my list exactly what I'm going to be telling you about today. So a couple of things that I did for my older son were a little bit on the boring side, so I'm just going to whistle through those because you don't really need to see them. I cut loads of his jogging bottoms and a few pairs of his school trousers that still fitted round the waist but were either too short or had holes in the knees into shorts. So I think I made about 3 school pairs of trousers into shorts and a couple of pairs of jogging bottoms that he can, you know, kind of that were in a lightweight fabric that were a little bit washed out but were ideal to wear to bed. So that was a couple of other things that I did first of all. I also sewed up some shorts for him in a linen viscose fabric. Now I had made some Pomona pants out of these from a pattern by Anna Allen and I had a weird shaped bit of fabric left that I would never have been able to make something for myself out of, but I managed to squeeze out a pair of shorts. These were a pattern by Bobbins and Button. It's a free pattern for their elastic waist shorts, and they sew up super quick. There was a really easy pattern. This probably isn't the most favourite thing that I've ever made for him because they are black, they're a bit boring, and also for him the fabric, because of that linen content, isn't quite as soft, although they do feel softer than they did before. So I think with a few more washes they will soften right up for him. But just a very basic pair of shorts to get him through the summer months, and also just to use up that bit of scrap fabric that I had. Now the next couple of items were part of the brand ambassadorship that I do with UK Fabrics Online. Now they've very kindly gifted me some blue leopard spot fabric. It's a cotton poplin fabric, and I decided that I wanted to make a skirt, which I've been talking about making a skirt on my channel for some time, and you guys have been really great in providing some pattern suggestions. Now there have been loads, and I will definitely be looking into getting some of those patterns as well, but for this time round I went with something that I had already made before. Well, I say I'd already made before. I've hacked a pattern that I already had in my stash, and that was the Jennifer Lauren Bastion culotte. So what I've done is I've hacked that pattern into a skirt. So rather than cutting the 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces separately to form the legs, I've cut it on the fold, and at the point where it starts to scoop round for the leg section, I just took that straight down. Other than that, the pattern comes together exactly the same. So it was really simple. It's a pattern that I've made a couple of times before, so it was a really nice sew for me because it wasn't something where I was sort of scratching my head about what to do. So this is the skirt that I made, and I will pop in a picture or so in a sec of me wearing the item. I also managed to literally squeeze out a top, a sleeveless top, which I used the seam work pattern Sorrento top for, but I had to crop it quite a lot. But it works okay with this skirt because I wear this quite high-waisted, and therefore I'm not showing any kind of belly or anything, which I wouldn't want to do. I did have to, I don't find that pattern is particularly well drafted. I have used it once before and I had similar sort of issues with it. This time I reduced the strap width on it, brought it kind of right in, changed the underarm proportions slightly. It's still not perfect. I might tweak around with it a little bit, but it does make quite an attractive sort of little cord, if you like, or obviously you can wear them separately as well. So those two pieces have come together really nicely, and I'm really pleased with the little set that I've made. Now I've also made one more item in mind that I could wear with that skirt as well, and that is this t-shirt here. I picked this fabric up from a D-stash on a swaps table actually, at a sewing social that I go to, and I have made the Laundry Day t-shirt, which is a free pattern by Love Notions, and you can get the free pattern by signing up to their Facebook group, I think it is, and there's several different versions that you can do. You can do a scoop neck on it, possibly a crew, but definitely a scoop. You can do like a tunic length, you can do a dress length, you can do sleeveless, you can do sleeves, so it's really versatile, particularly for a free pattern, so well worth looking at. One thing to bear in mind is that it does kind of have quite a wide sort of bottom to it, so it's not fitted as such, but more fitted around the bust area, and then really kind of splays out, so you do have to kind of think about what you're going to wear it with. And when I wear it with that skirt, I choose to sort of tuck it in, so that you haven't kind of got billowy and billowy. I just don't think that would look that great. So if I was to make it in the future, which I probably will, because I really liked how it has come out, but if I was looking to wear it untucked, I'd probably just take those seams more kind of, not necessarily straight down, but to, you know, more straight down than they currently are. But yeah, that one's come together quite nicely. As you can see, I've chosen to do the V-neck. I really like a V-neck on me. I think it works quite well. Now the next couple of items I've got to talk to you about are both items that I sewed up for a sewing challenge, or two different sewing challenges that were running in the month of June. The first one was So Fruity, which was run by the lovely Yvette from Blossom Sandwich, and I chose to sew up this jumper here. Now this is the Made It Patterns Hug Hoodie. Now it's very sad that this pattern company are no longer trading, so unfortunately this pattern is no longer available, but I particularly love this lovely sort of crossover detail that you get at the bottom, and obviously I'll pop in some pictures of me wearing it. I've gone for the crew neck version, but obviously you can put the hoodie on as well, and I've gone with this very loud, very bright, very bold fruity fabric. So definitely filled the brief of fruity themed, and yeah, it's come together really well. I chose some sort of old navy, sort of light navy kind of colour ribbing to pick out this sort of blue colour. It's not completely perfect to match, but it's pretty close, and I'm really pleased with how that sort of turned out. I think that picks it up really nicely and just sort of pares it down just slightly. But yeah, really pleased with this make, and definitely is a top that I would make again as well. I just think it's really versatile. It elevates your standard sweatshirt, I would suggest, and I do like a raglan sleeve too. Now I feel like I've made something else within June other than the last item that I'm going to tell you about, but if I have, I've failed to write it down, so it's completely gone from my mind, so I apologise for that, but I will show you the other item that I got made in June. Now the last item that I sewed up in the month of June was the Kila wrap dress by Named Clothing. Now I sewed this up for a sewing challenge that was being run by the lovely Bianca from B Silver Creates, and she was running the sewing challenge Sew Blood Pressure UK 23, and the idea behind that was to raise awareness in relation to blood pressure issues, but also to encourage us to sew up something that perhaps has been on our sewing list for some time. Now the Named Clothing Kila wrap dress has been on my mind to sew for quite a long time, and I have been strongly encouraged to try the pattern by the lovely Katie from Whatever Katie Sews and Adele from Sew for Serenity, who very much like this pattern. Katie in particular I think has got a lot of versions of it, And I've always been a little bit hesitant in sewing this one up because it's of a more fitted nature, and I was worried about sort of lumps and bumps and things, but Katie was very much of the viewpoint that it suits everybody. So I thought, well, why not give it a try? So I have sewn it up in this modal jersey. It's a colour that I haven't actually sewn before, sort of a khaki kind of colour, and I got some really lovely compliments on Instagram about it and about the dress, so thank you so much if you were one of those people. It really does mean a lot to me. And yeah, I'm really pleased with the outcome. Now, I haven't actually worn it other than to take some photos yet, but I'm sure I will do in the future. I do find that I want to wear a pair of sort of suck you in pants, if you like, with it, just to kind of hold things in place a little bit and sort of streamline the look, if you like. So it is something that I would probably think a little bit about what occasion that I was going to wear it to, although I would also wear it to work as well, if I was feeling in the mood to. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the outcome. For me personally, I would perhaps try it next time in a slightly more weighty fabric, because I think the lumps and bumps would show less so, because obviously a modal is very drapey. But again, I didn't want it to be a very thick jersey because I thought that wrap look would look too heavy in it. So any thoughts on that I would be quite grateful for, but I will pop some pictures in of me wearing it, and as I say, I am pleased with the result, and I do think it looks quite nice. So yeah, this one has pushed me sort of out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I think it is good to do that every so often, and so I certainly will be perhaps trying that again in the future, something that tests me a little bit in terms of my comfort zone. Now, I'm really trying not to be over ambitious in July. I don't think I achieved everything I'd set to make in June. Well, I certainly didn't. So one, maybe two items are going to roll forward into the month of July. Now, the first thing that was kind of on my list to make was the Naya t-shirt, which has really kind of hit the sewing community by storm. It's a Tammy handmade pattern, and I've made it already. I'm wearing it. Now, I've made this in a cotton jersey fabric, and if I'm honest, I think it would be better in a slightly more drapey fabric. That's funny because I've just been talking about making that other dress in a slightly more heavy fabric, but I think this would work better in a drapier fabric, although it won't stop me making this again in a cotton jersey. But I might size up just ever so slightly, just maybe one size, not even necessarily on the top part, but just around the waist, etc. And I will pop a picture in of me wearing it. But yeah, it's a super simple pattern. You use the same pattern piece for the front and back, so you haven't even got separate ones for that. A neckband, and then you put sort of these sleeve cuffs on as well. So you've got, what, 5 pieces. It sews up super quick. So if you are looking for that project that is going to sew up in really short amount of time, this is it. It really does come together quickly, and is an enjoyable sew, and I would recommend it. So that was my first plan for July. So tick, I've managed to do one, and here it is. Now the next item is something that I've carried over from the month of June, and possibly even the month of May, and that is the Sorrento Jacket, which is a sew over it pattern and is part of the Summer Dreaming ebook. Now, I have been talking to my lovely friend Marisa from the Umbrian Sewist, and she also wants to sew up the Sorrento Jacket. So we've decided to do this as a bit of a collab, because we've both been procrastinating slightly, shall we say, on this jacket, and we thought, well, if we're going to do it as a collaboration, then perhaps it would get us going, get us enthusiastic about making it, and it would be really good to be able to share with you guys at the end of the month our 2 different versions of it. So I won't go into sort of any more detail in relation to that. I don't know what fabric or anything Marisa is going to be using. She may well be talking about that on her channel. So do hop over and check out Marisa's channel if you haven't already done so. She's been on holiday, so she's been away for a little while. So, but I know that she's going to be back. She may well have put her video out before it goes out, talking about her plans, but do check out her channel. She's brilliant. I really enjoy her videos, and I'm sure you will too. So that's sort of plan number 2. Plan number 3 is for my brand ambassador project for UK Fabrics Online. Now, I haven't fully cemented what I'm going to do with it, but I can show you the fabric. So the fabric that I have been kindly gifted in return for sort of a blog post is this cotton poplin fabric with this cherry design all over it. Now, I don't think this fabric is directional. I'm not quite sure. What do you think? I don't think it is. I think those cherries are upside down and the other way round. So yeah, that makes life a little bit easier as well. Now, I've got just over 2 meters here. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to make. I'm thinking of trying my hardest to squeeze a dress out of it, but it might need to be sleeveless to be able to achieve that. If I hadn't already made the skirt that I made last month, I probably would be doing that, but I don't think I want to make a skirt this time. My husband saw this fabric this morning and is eyeing it up for himself. But I think it might be hands off. I haven't completely ruled it out, but he'd have to be extremely nice to me for me to sew this one up for him. So any ideas for this fabric? I would really love to hear them. As I say, I've got just over 2 meters of this cotton poplin fabric. It's not one of the really sort of narrow versions. It's reasonably good width to it. So hopefully, yeah, I can set up something nice with it. So as I say, if you've got any suggestions for me for something really lovely and summery, that would be fabulous. Now, talking about summery makes, and my older son, who has got a distinct lack of decent shorts in his wardrobe, he grows like an absolute weed. Both my husband and I are really tall, and he has got both of our genes in him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taller than my husband eventually. My husband's 6'1". I think he's going to be even taller. And whilst my younger son, bless him, gets all the hand-me-downs, so he's absolutely fine. His wardrobe is kitted out. I do still make for him as well. But my older son's shorts section is gone. I think the thing is that with shorts, you can wear them for, I can get away with him wearing them for a couple of years because he doesn't tend to grow out, he just gets taller. But I think we got to the point where he'd grown out of everything basically, because we'd pushed it, you know, last year. So this year they had to go. So I am going to make him some Shoreline shorts, and this is a Waves and Wild pattern. It's just a really simple pattern, but with pockets, because he loves a pocket. And I am going to see what leftover jersey fabric that I have got. Now, this pattern goes from preemie baby right up to age 12, so you really kind of get your money's worth out of Waves and Wild patterns. And I think that all of their patterns, well, most of their children's patterns have that size range, so really good value for money. And all of the shorts say with a sort of 55-inch 140 centimetre wide fabric, the largest size only takes, they say, a yard or 90 centimetres, so less than a metre, and you could get any of the sizes out. And obviously for a much smaller size you would need a much smaller piece of fabric. So yeah, I'm hoping somewhere in my sort of scraps, which is under my desk, I've got like a bin of scraps, that I have hopefully got some fabric that I can at least kind of test out this pattern and potentially make a couple of pairs for him out of it. So yeah, watch this space and see what I managed to find under there at some point during this month. Now, the last item that I'd really like to get made up this month, if I can, is the Jennifer Lauren Bastion culottes. Now, I talked about this in my 5 handmade essentials. I have previously made a navy blue pair of these, which I have absolutely worn and worn and worn, and I actually made them as kind of a wearable trial. So they were made out of a very, very inexpensive navy polycotton, and as such they've got really washed out because I've worn them so many times. But the fact that they're a plain fabric, they have just been a real staple in my wardrobe, because I can wear them through the summer months, but I could also wear them with tights in the winter as well. So I really want to make another pair to replace those that are just looking extremely tired. It wasn't really until I looked up some photos of me in them when I first made them I realised how awful they looked. So I really do need to make some more. So I have got some navy viscose twill fabric, which is obviously a slightly different fabric to what I made them before, but I think that will work really well. It will obviously make a slightly more drapey version of them, but hopefully still equally as wearable, if not more so. So I'm really looking forward to having those in my wardrobe. So I think that is everything that I've got planned for the month of July. As I say, I'm trying not to do too many things. I might not get them all done, but I'm definitely going to be making up the brand ambassadorship project, which, if you've got any ideas, as I've said, please let me know. And also the project that I'm going to be doing with Marisa from the Umbrian Sewist, which is the Sorrento Jacket. So yes, fingers crossed everything that I'm planning to make will come together. And if I have got any additional time, I've got some blue, bright sort of what's the word I'm looking like, cobalt blue, is it cobalt blue, you know, kind of that bright blue, oh my goodness, what's the word, you know what I mean, viscose fabric that I was thinking about making a Donny shirt in, and I might still make that as well if I get a chance. So that is really it from me today. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please do give me a like. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you consider doing so. But until next time, take care, happy sewing, bye.